Philadelphia. My goodness, the injuries, the sickness, it's grabbing us all, but I am so happy you are here with us. It is Bell The Birdmen. I'm John Barchard. That is Vince Quinn. And somewhere cameraless in the ether of the internet is Taylor Kredatus. Jalen Hurts is indeed practicing. Lane Johnson looks like he's going to be out for quite some time, as we kind of hinted at that at the beginning of the week here. And we do apologize for the lateness of the show, as you can probably hear and or see. Oh, it was a tough one. I was going to try and do the show from the bed yesterday. Lane Johnson inspired me so much. I was like,
tried that. That would have been so funny. You just stick in bed. Oh, but the fucking Eagles. Let me tell you. Like, that would be so good.
But so glad that we can fire off a few takes before the new year. And man, let's just start with, okay, this whole week has been just Hurts, not Hurts. Yes, no. Is he going to practice? You're a dick. Les Bowen thinks that he's going to be out until the playoffs. This guy thinks he's coming back. Nick Sirianni's firing back at Mike Sealski. I think kind of rightfully so. Not disrespecting Sealski on the question. I think that's fine. But, like, just all this stuff surrounding, is he a superhero? Is he not? Been practicing for the last 2 days as we're recording this on a Friday late morning, and we do see some pictures from NovaCare. Looks like he's doing stretches. To me, there's no way he's playing. To me, Vince Quinn, and even if he wants to, which is probably a better question today, I don't think you should. I think you should shut him down completely. But where do you stand on this? How are you feeling? Is he going to play, or is he not going to play in your mind?
He wants to play. He clearly wants to play. Of course he wants to play. He's got the MVP on the line. How does this guy not look at the MVP when everybody's doubted him this whole time, his whole career, everything we've talked about? He's here in the moment. He's a week away. And the thing that took all the MVP momentum out of the conversation was that we thought he was done for the year. So if he does come back, he plays this game, they get the 1 seed. It's a heroic return. It's carried off the field. Like, yeah, of course he wants that. He's got to want that. It's just human. All the team shit and everything that he talks about, there's some level of him that everybody would naturally want to be in that game. But it's up to the coaching staff to protect him, and it's a question for me of whether or not they want to. I mean, and it's not that they disrespect Jalen or don't care about him. They care about him so much that I think part of it is they do want to see him get MVP. But that's not what this is about. Right? Like, that's not what it's supposed to be about. That's not what the core of this team is. That's not what the whole temperature setting's supposed to be. It's all supposed to be, this is about the Super Bowl. It's week by week, staying focused in the moment with the bigger goal in mind. And whether or not they want to agree with that and actually live up to it in the moment, I think is the bigger question. Because if he's got any chance of re-injuring himself, making it worse, anything like that, he's got no business being out there on Sunday. They can do it with Gardner Minshew.
And guess what? He does, Vince. He has there's a pretty good chance that, like, if he gets touched and goes to the ground, he could re-injure it, make it worse, etc. And that's what basically Ian Rappaport said today on the NFL Network. I don't know if you caught that. He said something along the lines of, hey, yeah, he could go, but, the main concern there is if someone tackles him to the ground, well, then I'm like, so yes, if he's playing the game of football, he's got a chance of being hurt again. I don't think he's going to go out there. The way they're phrasing all of this, some people chirped at me when I got on Twitter, and I'm sure you did too, when you saw all the quotes from Nick Sirianni. When was that, Wednesday? It was like, yeah, he could. He's a superhero. I'm like going right there. I was like, yeah, there's no way that he's going. And they're tempting us with the limited practice on Thursday, and today is a walkthrough. Like they're not doing anything in particular. If I was Jalen Hurts right now, I would be taking most of the reps with the ones because I want to prepare myself for the playoffs, and that's why I want to address that too. It's why I don't think there's going to be too much rust coming into there. There's been a lot of takes about that. We'll get into that later, but that's why you go through those to stay sharp. You're probably in rehab mode where you're like, okay, you'll be good. Where you can let's get those muscles working again, and that'll help your AC joint rebuild itself. And I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Don't ask me, but that's how I know how it kind of flows, and that's the workflow of what you do when you're starting back up again and you can't go on IR because you'll miss the playoffs. So, like, I don't know. If he ends up playing, Vince Quinn, that means he, his agent, or Howie Roseman, or someone else outside of that team got their way. And I just don't see that happening. Do you? I don't see Jalen Hurts pouting and saying, I'm playing in this game. I'm going to go win. We're going to lock up the 1 seed, and I'm going to win MVP, and I'll shut myself down after that.
I can totally see that, though. I can totally see that. Of course, again, he is a competitive guy. It's a big moment for him. And here's the other side of it too. He's got the contract, man. I mean, how much different is this if it's not just the Eagles win the Super Bowl, but he's the MVP of the Super Bowl and the MVP of the league? He's getting all the money. He's just getting all of it. And here's a more cynical take on all of it is if they don't win the Super Bowl, he does have the MVP, and that also helps with his bargaining power. So I just think there's a lot here for him financially to want to play in this game. The MVP, you can say all you want about how it doesn't matter, but it matters. And there's a lot of money tied to it. So
yeah. And that's a good point, too. Not only just the MVP, but the residuals that come with that. Maybe that's a Wheaties box. That's definitely another endorsement deal from somebody. A shoe, your own clothing line you might be able to boost, a beverage company, something along that line. So I'm right there with you. And listen, if you follow the Philadelphia 76ers at all, that's the only real thing I could compare this to. And I'm not comparing the player to Jalen Hurts. Trust me on this. But when Ben Simmons decided I'm going to sit out and still be Rookie of the Year, that's a contractual thing. That's making money. And Hurts is nowhere. He's on a different planet than Ben Simmons, so I'm not even comparing the two. But where I think Vince might be right, and Taylor has mostly been right on this, is there is still, there's still you in the business. And I don't think he interferes with that in the locker room at all. That's been clear since the day he's been here. He's the perfect candidate for if somehow we were his agents, oh my God, I would just, this is never going to be a problem, and he's going to be a moneymaker for the rest of my life. But I do think you'd be silly not to, because I'm probably where you're at. I'm listening to Vince and Taylor. I'm going, yeah, but they're probably right. I doubt it, but you're probably right. Is that a weird take? That's how I feel.
Whenever you
I
tell
don't
me
want to
I'm
believe
right, I'm
it.
going to be fine with it. You could tell me I'm right as much as you want, but otherwise, yeah, it's just one of those things where I think it's a natural human emotion. You know what I mean? Even at the beginning, we were talking about 2018 and Wentz and all the stories about him being a sad sack with Foles and everything. I do understand that on a human level. I mean, you're the quarterback of the team, and then your backup wins the first ever Super Bowl in Philadelphia. It's
just don't say it out loud to your teammates in the weight room.
Yeah, it's just I understand feeling shitty and a little protective and whatever from that. There is a human element. It's just he was shitty after that, and there was a lot of other problems. But for Hurts in the moment, man, I mean, it's the MVP of the league. There's only so many people that have ever gotten that. He gets to carry that for the rest of his life, and he could be a game away. I mean, is it what kind of performance does he have to have, I guess, to get the MVP is maybe another conversation, is what does it have to look like on Sunday for him to win it, or what does Mahomes have to do to throw it away? But man, he's right there, and what were the odds on that? So it's natural to say, yeah, I want to do this, but again, man, it's just all about your team for the most part, and this is where people feel weird because you're getting some injuries now, but this team is extremely healthy, grand scale all across the board. This is a really healthy team, and they're going to be getting other guys back. So there's all the reason in the world to be confident in the roster. You're going to have the home field bye, most likely, and you can do that with Minshew. Just relax, get healthy. If he's healthy enough to do a couple of snaps against the Giants, like I said last time, fine. But otherwise, man, go win the Super Bowl. Go win the Super Bowl. That is, you are a god forever. If you win the MVP, people will forget about that to some degree if they want to. They can never ignore a Super Bowl because it's always, well, this guy sucks, but he did win a Super Bowl. And it's just, it matters more.
And I'm not, yeah. And here's where, because I think you and I are on the same page. We're both sitting Jalen Hurts down, right? Despite what he might want. And you're probably right. You and Taylor are probably right. He probably does want this thing, but despite that, you and I are going to say these following words. Because this is what I would tell Jalen if he's thinking about and flirting with it. Hey, man, look, pretend I'm Jason Kelce. You're going to get fucked on this MVP deal in your contract. You just are. And you can't, it's out of your hands. You can't really control any of that. However, let me tell you a story about another guy who was chasing an MVP and decided to come back a little too early from his injury. And let me tell you where he's at right now. You have his job. So like, don't let that trip you up for whatever is directly in front of you. And you're like, I know I can do this thing, but at what cost is it going to, ruin this whole flow that we've had with this team all year? Granted, I do have probably more faith in Gardner Minshew, despite all the letdown from Dallas and all that stuff of going to win in a playoff game and all that. If the defense plays a little better, but if you want to win a Super Bowl, you probably have to have Jalen Hurts here this year because of the type of year that you have had. And just let's keep that going. Just chill, get healthy. Throw to AJ and keep doing this. Rinse and repeat. You're going to be in the MVP conversation every year probably from here on out. Once people get over this too many weapons crap, And you've got to make up not only that, but you got to make up for the fact that Lane Johnson is probably not going to be 100% throughout the playoffs dealing with a very serious sports hernia. That's not cool to play with, and I don't care how much cortisone is. I mean, I'm struggling to get out of the bed with a freaking head cold. I can't imagine hey, by the way, you just pulled something. I'm just going to shoot this thing in. No problem. And they make millions of dollars, and they're trained. They do all that stuff. They're paid that way. Whatever. That's a lot of shit back on Jalen's plate, especially when your 1-2 punch that has kept you up afloat this entire year is probably not going to be 100%. So you got a lot of shit on your plate. Just like you were saying, go prove everybody wrong. Go win the Super Bowl MVP and make everybody look like shit.
Yeah, and here's the other side, too. Is Vince, they could lose the game. And totally fair. I guess they could. I mean, the Saints suck ass, although Andy Dalton's phenomenal. The Saints suck ass. And so, okay, you let Gardner Minshew play this game. Team loses the game. They lose to an average team. Now you have reason to worry. And if Jalen has to play in order to get the 1 seed week 18, the team has failed him, and this is an essential thing to do. I can understand that. Put him in week 18 if you have to, and he's capable of playing, and you got to get the 1 seed. Because then you're playing for a bye and home field advantage through the playoffs. That is really something to play for, and it's dire in that moment, and you've given it multiple chances, and it hasn't worked. So if that comes to be, that comes to be. But I have no reason to expect that. I mean, what if they had 3 turnovers and 4 turnovers in the last 2 weeks? I mean, it's not who they've been. So there's no reason for me to expect to see that a third time. It just feels highly improbable, especially because, again, the Saints aren't that good. They're right. Just a super forgettable average team. So, yeah, man, I mean, it's just, I think it's a question for next week. But for now, the only thing is, okay, it is good that he's practicing because the Saints do have to prepare for it. And it feels like a far more legitimate thing than it was last week, where for Dallas, maybe they prepared for it, but odds are they were putting pretty much all their playbook together for Minshew. So, yeah, it's nice to see that he can practice, but, man, yeah, don't push it if you have to. And right now you don't have to.
Here's where I could see one scenario to make, I don't know if there's any, contractual thing in there, but if they're really serious about the other part of he could play, and man, we'll get into that in a second because I don't know where your run game goes if he does, and you're worried about his shoulder. But what if Minshew starts and Jalen Hurts is active as QB2 in case of emergency of the Saints are really kicking our ass here, 1. 2, Minshew goes down, and you'd rather have that than Ian Book try and close this thing out. I think it's very possible that that's where the Eagles could probably end up on Sunday, is Jalen Hurts is active, but he's not the starter, so it kind of throws off the Saints maybe even a little more with gamesmanship. That kind of makes some sense to me of why he was taking so many reps with, the ones on Thursday, if that's the case. It's a far stretch to think that, but I do think there's a possibility that could happen. For the exact same reasons I think you laid out, buddy. What if the Saints are just oh, fuck, and you just would rather just win it now and let Jalen, rest himself up? I think that could be very possible this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's a decent compromise. If Minshew's playing a bad game and you hit halftime and Jalen's look, dude, we got to win this thing. We're losing and whatever, then, yeah, I could see that. Because, look, I don't know what the hell Ian Book is. What the hell is Ian Book?
He sounds like he should be the guitarist in Porno for Pyros or something, or
That's a band?
I just dated myself. So Fallout Boy. There you go. Your favorite.
Okay, sure. That works. Yeah, like
Ian Book and Fallout Boy coming to the Spectrum. I could kind of hear that. Anyway, I don't know. I have
third string practice squad guy all year. I can't. He's the last guy I want to see in this game. So, look, if they had to do that, I think I'd be okay with it. But otherwise, man, just the guy put up 34 points against Dallas. It is a good defense, whether you like it or not. And let him ride here. It's just he's earned the opportunity to play for another game.
Yes, and I just, man, that I think is a great segue into like where all this, I don't know, semi-panic seems to become from this week. And maybe it's just because I'm not looking, and was down for 24 hours and I wasn't refreshing my TikTok and Twitter feeds left and right. But I'll tell you one thing we need is a little bit of sanity, and I could use a liquid death while doing that. Unfortunately, again, there's nothing in front of me. I'm a total idiot. But I am going to go down to 7-Eleven today because, dude, I don't know where this is coming from, but we're getting like a 55-degree day followed by a 62-degree day.
Whoa.
So I'm going to walk on down to 7-Eleven. I'm going to grab myself one of those delicious 16.9-ounce steel cans of awesomeness and murder my thirst with all the wonderful liquid from the Alps, and it's going to help the congestion. I guarantee it. It's going to help better than Mucinex because that shit does not work for me. I cannot figure that out. Does anyone else have that problem? That Zyrtec, just like when it comes to allergies and anything nose, nothing works. Can somebody help me out there? liquiddeath.com/Bell to get some nice guzzlet down your mouth, and you know where it is by going to that link. Like I know, I just got to go to 7-Eleven, and I got to tell Nick Wright and Ryan Leaf to just shut up for a second. Like, what are you doing to my timeline? Good Christ almighty. I don't even think, Vince didn't even really smell half of this right this week, right? This whole, what if the Eagles lose in the divisional round?
Yeah, and maybe that's Mucinex or Zyrtec for me. Maybe I've been taking some and I didn't realize it. But dude, yeah, I mean the only person I saw it from was a local guy who I'm not going to mention his name. His takes suck. His name
is Douche Magoo.
Yeah, he doesn't matter. I don't pay attention to his shit.
Yeah, I'm not talking about
up
that.
On the timeline all the time, and people take the bait. So it happened with a local guy. I saw that, and then you're telling me like Nick Wright and all are getting into that, and it's the same thing, man. Look, people want to manipulate Eagles fans. One and done is a catchy, dangerous thing to say. It's flashy, and to do it against a 1 seed is even flashier. So I get what they're doing, but like, what are we talking about here? I mean, this team has gone through so much adversity, and they've won what, 13 games this season, some of them on the road where they've been losing final game-winning drives in the fourth quarter. They've done everything you can ask for from a team standpoint. Elite defense generates a lot of turnovers. They might set a record for sacks this week for the Eagles, and they have a chance to pass the all-time single NFL season record with an extra game. But still,
yeah, fuck Jonathan Gannon though, right?
Sorry. Yeah, well, yeah, fuck him. But they've got all this opportunity here, so it's just like to look at this team and say that it's anything like because I think did Nick Wright say it's like the Titans from like last year?
That was Ryan Leaf, and Nick Wright was basically saying the same thing. He just compared it to Baltimore or some crap like that.
Yeah, if you're comparing this team to the Titans from last year, Ryan Leaf, get the fuck out, man. I mean, what are you watching? There's nothing about that Titans team that's even remotely close to this Eagles team. It wasn't as good. That team looked like a fraud from the jump. The Eagles being a legitimate, high-quality team all year long with a great roster. Like, this is who they were supposed to be. This was the best level of this team, and they've nailed it. So I find that stuff preposterous, dude.
See, the only real comparison to those teams is that A.J. Brown was on both of them, and he's having a career year here with Jalen Hurts and a bunch of others. Like, everyone else is having a career year, and I know they're young too, but like Miles Sanders, the whole thing. It's mind-blowing to me that you have to like come up with like, well, where could things go wrong? We saw the Commanders creep in there that one week, and like it doesn't matter. They have been on the road for 3 weeks. They scored and they crushed the Giants at MetLife. Check mark. Then they got a little less healthy. Then what happened? Then they still went and beat the Chicago Bears ass. Then what happened? Their starting quarterback went down, and then they went to Dallas and almost beat them on the road at home, not healthy. So, like, I just – how can you look at the last month and go, I'd be worried about the Eagles if I were. What the fuck are you talking about? I'd be worried about every other team in the NFL because if they can produce that while they're not 100%, and I don't know where this like they're starting to peak thing is coming from. They have not played their best game yet of football. All of this has been cool to see. They've crushed teams. They've done all this random cool stuff, but they have yet to play their best game. There hasn't been like 152 touchdowns from A.J. Brown, 152 touchdowns from Devontae Smith, 86 from Sanders and a touchdown, Jalen Hurts 5 total. And you're going, John, that's ridiculous. No, it's not. That's where this team can be if everything is hot and rolling and semi-healthy. I am not worried about anyone coming through Philadelphia, which is also the point in where most of these talking heads are missing. They have to come to Philadelphia. They're not going on the road. They've got to win 1 of 2. And by the way, if Minnesota loses, it's fucking over. They don't even have to, like, they could still lose out and still be the 1 seed as well. And I think that's a very big
Dallas would have
possibility
to
too.
lose a game in that scenario too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah,
Dallas, San Francisco, and Minnesota have to lose in that scenario, but like I'm not banking on that either. I'm just saying the NFC is not strong. The 49ers, all this shit we've been talking about for weeks, none of this scares me. It only makes me more excited to get to the postseason.
Yeah, dude, I'm right. Because that's the thing. It's like, oh, the Eagles are 1 and done. All right, to who? To who? You're playing the worst
Well, it could
seeds.
be anybody.
You're playing the worst seeds. Is Washington going to come in and do it again? Is that what you're predicting? Like, because look, if Carson Wentz is starting that game in the Link, he's going to crumble and die out there. His career is going to crumble and die out there. It ain't going to be Carson Wentz. Washington, so that's one. The Giants, like, who is it? The Panthers. They win the NFC South. They steal a game. They're like everybody else wins. It's chalk, and they come in. I mean, what are we talking about? Like that's the thing. Tell me who. Tell me the scenario. What is really the one and done case? Because I don't think it's there. I really don't think there's one to present. But it's just easy and flashy to say without much thought, and people want to do it. So like, fine, you can go and do it. But is it good analysis? No.
Could the Cowboys come in here and wreck shop? No. And that's the only one. That's the only one that anyone has been telling me about. And, like, the 49ers coming here in the NFC Championship game? Probably not, dude. Like, not with this team. Sorry. You know, it's just like, if they have home field advantage, I don't see a one and done, and I barely see an opportunity to beat them at home in an NFC Championship game. Whoever comes out at the top, you know.
Exactly. The conference sucks. The conference absolutely sucks. Is that part of the reason that this team is 13-2 right now? Yeah, sure, absolutely. But like, they're really good too. They're a really good team, and they've been doing it all season. And it's not fluky. Like talking about the Vikings. I mean, how many close games can you possibly win? It's just at some point that's going to go dry, and we're just waiting for it to happen, and it's inevitably going to happen in a playoff game. So like that's what you're looking at. And for now, I'm just not concerned, man. I'm not concerned.
Yeah, but your camera is, man. I'm so sorry. It doesn't like you today.
I gotta like burn or release this thing. I think is what it's gotten to. I've had it for like a year and a half, and it's just, if you're watching on YouTube, it's blurry as fuck. That's what I mean. Like, this is perfect example of the Philadelphia Eagles right here. Like what we've been through December is this all just happened. My internet went out. Taylor accidentally spilled water all over his laptop, so he had to bail out in the middle of this recording. Yep.
Vince's camera is out of focus and not working. But do you see me worried? No, baby. We are cruising just like everyone's getting healthy because we got to go on a run too. You got to be kidding me if we don't have, hotels already booked from Philly sports trips in Arizona on the possibility that we could be like, we're just getting ready, planning, and healthy, and that's what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing as well. I can't believe it.
I've tried every trick in the book to unblur this camera.
Oh, there you go. There you go. There's a little folk goals. Hey.
I did it. Yeah,
this is also another big reason why you need to fill out an application at bellthebirdmen.com. Send that out to our Discord as well, and you can find that there if you go to bellthebirdmen.com.
Which is a new website, and it's so flashy.
Oh, is it? Did we change the thing? Did you do the thing?
The new one's
Ooh. even easier to find us, even easier to subscribe, especially if you're watching or listening to this. You should be doing that already. But yeah, help Vince, help me, help Taylor. Good Christ, we're falling apart over here. And I think you'd be a wonderful addition to the team. Now, just so you know, we do prefer people that could be local and could be in a studio setting, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to listen to everybody, because who knows how fast 2023 is going to go, to be honest with you. We might have to hire everybody. I don't know. That's what we hope. But the other thing that I think is ridiculous, and I save this for the end mainly just because I love Jordan Mailata so much. I don't want to, talk bad about any of this stuff. But can you explain to me where the right tackle, Jordan Mailata, the right tackle thing is coming from? Because that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I hate it. It's all over the place. It's just theorizing everywhere. I've seen it from a lot of people, and some of them are like credible people that I actually respect. Like Dave Zangaro, for example, has mentioned the idea.
Shout out to Dave.
So
I did an awkward bro hug with him at the airport in Indianapolis, and I apologize.
Yeah, I did see that, and I've never met Dave personally, so I didn't want to. And he was clearly just going like, "Hi, see you later." So I didn't want to be like, "Hi, Dave, Vince Quinn as well," and stop him and do this whole thing. So I was just like, "Yeah, just go hug him and we'll let this thing go." So hi, Dave, if you hear this, hi, I'll see you at an airport sometime. But. Yeah, you look at the other ideas. I mean, I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it in the Discord. Everybody's talking about it, and I get it. Jordan Mailata is great. Andre Dillard's generally just been a left tackle. The first time he played right he was crying after the game. Okay, fine. But I'm not moving him, man. We're going to move Jordan Mailata now? No. Absolutely not. Put Driscoll in there. If what's his name? If Dillard can do it, great. Whatever you got to do. Say Amalo, Cam Jurgens. I don't give a fuck. I really do not want to move Jordan Mailata at any cost at this point. Consistency matters. It's you ever do that stuff where you throw a baseball with whatever your natural hand is, and then you throw a baseball with your other hand, and it's just the most awkward, miserable, terrible. You know what I mean? You feel like you tear 8 ligaments as you try to with the opposite hand. It just sucks. So yeah, don't do that now. Don't do it.
No, there's no reason to ever do this. I think every time that a premier tackle gets injured, we automatically think, well, what if we replace 2 positions when it's completely unnecessary? That sounds like a good idea. And you're like, well, what are you doing with left tackle then? Who's playing left tackle? Dillard? Holy shit, you guys got to be high as a kite if you think that is. I would rather have Dillard play right tackle and just do it that way, if honest to goodness.
Yeah.
But Taylor's saying he's going to pick up a screwdriver. He needs to open it up so he can save the laptop. All right, there's hope. There's hope, everybody.
See?
But there is no hope in Jordan Mailata playing right tackle to make your football team better. None whatsoever. And they've cross-trained him for a year. I know it's been a while, but before he became Jordan Mailata, the offseason where he went on IR to fix his back and to do all that stuff, they tried him at right tackle, and maybe it's just PTSD from training camp. But I remember specifically tweeting, wow, the Jordan Mailata experiment looks like it's done, when they were trying to cross-train him at right tackle, and it was nowhere close to him. Now, do I think he understands the concept way more than 2 years ago? Yes. But it's just much different, guys. It's so much different playing left and right tackle. If you're going to go in that scenario, by the way, I'm with Vince. Kick out Seumalo to right tackle, put Cam as your left guard, and I think that is a pretty good situation. Or however that works out. Just
right guard.
Playing right guard.
So,
my bad.
So goes from right guard to right tackle,
and then put Cam right next to. And I think that is okay to do if you're unsure about Driscoll.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. Obviously, the Lane Johnson stuff factors into this. Now everything was is he going to play? And now he's clearly going to play once the playoffs hit. So you'd be doing it for 2 weeks, and then all right, maybe Lane tries it and it doesn't work, and he does have to leave the game, and he can't go on the rest of this ride. Then I'm not switching him. For all the reasons you said. It's just I'm not going to get a guy that's been in one position all year. He's been really good at that position. He's had minor things here and there, but he's a really good player. I'm not changing that. There's no reason. Chemistry between him and Dickerson. You know what I mean? It's just don't do it. Don't. I get the idea. I know why you can think about it, but don't do it, man. Absolutely not.
Yeah. Guards are probably interchangeable. And speaking of Dickerson, he's pretty much shown that. But you can't do that with tackles. It's just the rule of thumb always for me, if you're a guard, you can probably – well, if you're a center, you can probably play guard. And if you're a guard, you can't necessarily play tackle, but all tackles can play guard. So that's like – it's just a good rule to go by. And stop switching right and left tackles. Vince Quinn, anything besides – the scary thoughts of impending doom, because like there is nothing factually, analytically, or anything else that is going to tell me that this Philadelphia Eagles team isn't fucking great no matter what happens here. They've got to win 1 out of fucking 2. It's not going to be hard, okay? It's the Saints and the Giants. If you can't beat these teams, you're not a Super Bowl contender anyway. Hang your hat up and go home. That's it. Like, if we're so wrong and they screw this up, then we were wrong the whole year. And we weren't wrong the whole year. We were right. Except for that Russell Wilson thing and me thinking, that there's – because you're right, wouldn't be that good. But outside of that, this team's fucking good. Stop believing the googlies and the I can't fucking talk. What am I saying?
Everyone's bored. That's
Everyone's bored. There you go.
Everyone's bored. It's a slow time of year. We've known it feels like the Eagles are going to lock up the 1 seed for a couple of weeks. It hasn't quite happened yet. We're getting a little antsy. It's going to be fine. They're going to lock up the 1 seed. They are the best team in the conference. Like, just ignore the noise, and let's just get through this and pop a bottle at New Year's Eve and have a good time. We're going to be fine. My New Year's resolution is fuck you, New Year's resolutions suck. And just be happy with yourself. Love yourself a little more, okay? That's
make habits in March.
Taylor.
How about that?
Yeah.
All right. How about make habits when you need to make them? Don't wait for the end of the year, because then also what always happens with me is like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the gym on starting January 1. So then what do? It's the holidays, and I eat like a goddamn pig, because all that happens is, oh, well, I'm going to start working out January 1. So this is all going to go away shortly. I'm just going to, let me get seconds. Let me have another beer. You know what I mean? And it's just like, oh, now I'm 30 pounds heavier, and then I don't work out, and it's like, what have I done?
Yeah, then you're just like, like walk outside. Start there. If you want to, I'm going to go to the gym. Just walk outside for 5 minutes and then, start that process. Or, I don't know.
Baby
don't go to
steps,
the fucking gym is what
it's
I'm
all
saying.
about building habits.
Yeah.
You don't just expect to be at the gym 5 days a week for an hour every day when you've never done it or you haven't done it in years. It ain't easy.
And by the way, you probably don't need it as much as you think. Just fucking, just love yourself a little more. That's all I'm saying. For Taylor Kredatus, for Vince Quinn, for myself, I am John Barchard, wishing you nothing but the best in 2023, especially when the Birds are holding the Super Bowl trophy. See you soon, guys. Okay, bye-bye.